I welcome everyone on behalf of AIM Forum, and also I welcome our speaker, Mr. Ravindran, Senior Advocate of Madras High Court, and he is leading lawyer in labor law. He represents management in labor courts, industrial tribunal, and High Court of Madras. So I will hand over the session to our speaker, Mr. Ravindran sir.
Good evening to all of you.
Good
Can
evening.
you all hear?
Yes, sir, it is audible, sir.
Audible, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. At the outset, I think I am to address the enlightened participants in this. I am going to address the issue regarding lockout only in respect of legal perspective. I am making it clear because somebody have come to me or it goes to lockdown to arrange the manpower, etc. I am not going to address all those issues. See the legal issues, especially the wages, the speed of lockout, and what is the position on that, and the provisions of various enactments which deal with the present situation. At the outset, I should say, the present situation is something unprecedented. There is no laid down court decision in respect of such situation. Therefore, it is virtually a rigid territory, and we have to await the Supreme Court decision on this issue. But till then, what to do is the most important question. It may be listed after 2 weeks, then it may be adjourned. But from what we hear, read in today's newspaper, the lockdown may be lifted from 1st of May. And I am cautious that there will not be a total lifting of lockdown, or the industry is ready to fully open the factory and run its affairs. So it will be a staggered uh, employment, initially for direct employment, then slowly for indirect employment. On that situation also, what is the legal aspects? That those two issues I will answer. During lockdown and post lockdown, what is the law on the subject and what is the clarification on that? I will divide the issues into 5 topics. One is what is the scope of the Management Act and the Epidemic Act, and what is the scope of industrial law on this situation, especially Industrial Disputes Act, Industrial Standing Order Act, and also the Payment of Wages Act, which deal with the present situation. I will refer it shortly. Then, what is the stand of the management generally as we take a note of the judgment, I mean, the affidavits and petitions filed in the Supreme Court and what we read in the newspapers and the various questions that come to me. And what is the view of the labor also? The fourth one is what is the situation of litigation, and most importantly, how does the trend look like an election trend beginning? How does it look like? The initial trend may not be decisive, but it gives an indication. And finally, legally, how to resolve, not on HR issues. I'm not on HR issues. How to resolve it legally to my uh, uh, knowledge and experience which I've gathered all these years. So these are the 5 topics. The first one is the scope of the Disaster Management Act and the Epidemic Act. First of all, we should realize that these two enactments are special enactments. Why I say it's a special enactment? Because in law, a special enactment takes a precedent over a general enactment. And what is a special enactment and what is a general enactment? will depend on the situation. Not that it is given a stamp of saying it's a special enactment and it's a general enactment. No. Depending upon the situation, it will change its color. Now, hardly we had an occasion to look into these two enactments. Only after the Tamil Nadu government passed orders on 24/3 invoking section 2 of the Epidemic Act, we all went and searched for the Epidemic Act. 2 days later, central government passed order dated 24/3 invoking provisions of the Disaster Management Act. Then only we saw what is the act. Now, I'll tell you on the face of it, both the enactments are very mandatory in nature. I immediately take up the salient provisions of the Disaster Management Act so that you will appreciate it. This is a central act enactment. Therefore, it prevails all over the country. Number 2, it defines what is disaster management, which includes an epidemic, which is on a large scale basis. And it provides machinery at the country level, state level, and district level to manage disaster management to the best of its ability. It's a very wide power-oriented provision. It does not define exactly, but it says you can do all things which are necessary. That itself shows its wideness. 4 provisions are very important for the time being. That is section 6, on which the order date 24/3 rested. Section 6 says the Disaster Management Authority can lay down guidelines to be followed by the state government for prevention of diseases Act may consider necessary. Section 10(2) also laid down guidelines for issuing directions in response to the disaster management. So these twin powers are very wide in nature. The next provision is section 14, which forms the state disaster management authorities to proceed with the guidelines. Number 18 is, again the state should lay down the policies. To my knowledge, section 14 and 18 have not been fully implemented in state of Tamil Nadu. In fact, the Madras High Court has called upon the state government in a writ petition filed to come out with information what is that they have done under the Disaster Management Act in respect of its responsibility under section 14 and 18 of that. We have to await its response. Now, therefore, the directions and guidelines issued by the central government under this act are mandatory in nature and have no doubt about that. If you fail to comply with those directions, section 51 is very severe. It says you are responsible for refusing to comply with the directions are initially liable to be punishment with 1 year or punishment with fine or both. Second is important. The offence results in the loss of lives or imminent danger thereof. Imprisonment is up to 2 years. That is no question of or fine. So imprisonment is definite, but maximum is 2 years. Therefore, reading this 6, 10 and at least 51 makes it clear whenever a statute provides for penal provision, you should be aware it is mandatory in nature. It's not a civil in nature. It's a penal in nature. Therefore, compliance of it is necessary. Very next important provision to be looked at is very crucial for our discussion. Section 72. Section 72 says the provisions of this act would have effect notwithstanding anything inconsistent or any other law for the time being in force. So any other statute which is inconsistent with these provisions, Disaster Management Act will provide. That means any guidelines or orders issued under Act will prevail over any other law for the time being in force. This is part A. You should appreciate what is these two enactments. I am not dealing with Epidemic Act for the time being. The central government has moved the disaster management. Now let us consider what are the other laws which are available generally. If there is no Disaster Management Act and Epidemic Act, what are the other laws covering the present situation? They are number one, Industrial Disputes Act. Number two is Industrial Employment Standing Orders Act. And number three, Payment of Wages Act, as all of you know. Industrial Disputes Act provides for certain important provisions. Number one, lockout. Number two, layoff. Then retrenchment. Then closure. Layoff is a situation where inability of the employer to provide work for various reasons under section 2C of the Act, read with 25C. Now, lockout is concerned, it is again the management's decision which is antithesis to strike. It can lock down its factory or a portion of the factory and refuse to give work. To lay off under 25C, you are liable to pay compensation 50%. Next is retrenchment. When the situation worsens, you retrench employees. If there is no end, you effect the closure. Now, as far as the state of Tamil Nadu is concerned, the Industrial Disputes Act, in respect of present situation, only one aspect will be available to an employer. And to my knowledge, no employer has invoked that provision at all. That is, the current situation is an ideal situation to declare layoff. Now, if you want to lay off your workmen in small numbers or all for a few days or more days, you cannot lay off the workman merely based on the definition of layoff found under the Industrial Disputes Act. It says reasons mentioned therein where you can lay off the employees, natural calamity, etc. Refusal, inability of the employer on account of shortage of coal, power, raw material, or accumulation of stock, or breakdown of machinery. None of them arise in this situation. Or natural calamity, or for any other connected reason. So, nearest to our case is natural calamity. But this begs the question whether this current situation is natural calamity or not. So, generally, we are under the impression this epidemic is a natural calamity. Not likely, I am not sure, but my view is it is not so. Natural calamity is a situation where it is due to natural disaster like flood, earthquake, tsunami, Gaja, storm, etc. etc. That is why here the statute uses natural calamity and epidemic in different places. Here it does not say epidemic, it says natural calamity. But if you take model standing orders, there it says you can lay off due to epidemic, which is the present is the epidemic. Epidemic is generally understood in dictionary a disease, a communal disease spreading across length and breadth of a country or a world at large. So here, can you lay off the workman? If you have not laid off so far, to my knowledge, not even one company has laid off. Hereafter laying off is not possible. Okay, let me take a theoretical situation. Okay, on 24/3, you wanted to lay off. The definition under the ID Act and 25C compensation is not the power. The power should be vested in your standing orders. So if you have a certificate standing orders enabling you to declare layoff to your workman due to epidemic, you can lay off. Again, the question is, do you have 100 workmen or less than 100 workmen? If you have less than 100 workmen, yes, government permission is not necessary. But if you have more than 100 workmen, government power to lay off your workmen is necessary. There also there is one controversy where it says if there is a natural calamity, permission of the government is not necessary. Therefore, it will again beg the question whether the present situation is a natural calamity or not. If it is a natural calamity as understood by the government, permission is not necessary and we can lay off. So, less than 100, 100 and above. Permission is not necessary, permission is necessary subject to clarification. And this should have been declared already. There is no question of retrospective declaration of layoff. So today, we have not laid off our workmen, nor locked out our workmen, nor we have retrenched the workmen. So the Industrial Disputes Act provisions have not been enforced by the managements today. That apart from the question, very important question, which is going to be focused in Supreme Court by the lawyers appearing for the workmen, Indira G. Singh. She has already given an interview on a platform conducted by Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. There, I'll come to that bit later. Again, the question will arise whether these powers are enough for us to lay off the workmen, etc. The second part of the discussion. So, we have gone into the two sets of enactments and we have understood what is the scope of these two sets of enactments. Now, the third portion is what is the stand of the workman and what is the stand of the management? As I understood and observed and listened to various speeches by both sides and number of opinions which have been circulated online, which all of you would have seen, and also other newspaper reports, etc. Now, the stand of the management, technically and theoretically, is we have not declared a lockout or layoff. Therefore, why should we pay wages? It is the government which told us to close down the factory. Therefore, we are not liable to pay wages. Seems to be the stand of the management. Because we are not responsible for the situation. The stand of the workman, on the other hand, is diametrically opposite. They say we are entitled to full wages. Let us critically examine these two legal issues. The management says, I am not the responsible person for asking the workman to stay at home because it's the government which has set passed orders, stay at home. The case of the workman is, or legally their stand could be, when a workman is denied wages. One, as you all know, any absence. Number two, when he resorts to strike. These are the only situations where he can be denied wages. The third situation, legally, when he can be denied wages, is under the provisions of the Payment of Wages Act, where deductions are permissible and fines are also permissible. Deduction is towards cooperative society, canteen, insurance, loan, etc. Fine is for various minor misconduct causing loss to the company, etc. So, Payment of Wages Act is another provision. So, their stand is very clear. There cannot be a deduction in wages beyond the Payment of Wages Act. I have not absented. I have not gone on strike. Therefore, I am entitled for wages. Therefore, he further states it is the government which said you should not go out. And even if I come to the company is not functioning. Therefore, technically, he is saying I am entitled for wages. Many questions have been posed to me saying on the principle of no work, no pay. No, that is not the situation. No work, no pay will not apply to the present situation. No work, no pay is a situation where the workman withdraws the labor and therefore he is not entitled for wages. He has not given work, therefore he is not entitled for wages. So this is the conflict between the management and the labor on these two fronts. Now we will go move to the next situation, the litigation, which is now pending before the courts. In Madras High Court also a couple of cases have been filed. It has not made much headway. Now what is really engaging our attention is the cases pending before Supreme Court of India and other courts. Now by order dated 27/4/2020, a batch of writ petitions have been filed before the Supreme Court an extraordinary relief writ petition, which is normally not maintainable. They prayed that they should not be mulcted with wages during the period of lockdown. Two eminent senior lawyers are appearing for the management, and an eminent lawyer is appearing for the workman. The first indication shows that the Supreme Court has not given any interim relief to us. So 27-4 is the order adjourning by 4 weeks, 2 weeks. So by then we have to answer the issue whether we are liable to pay wages or not by first or by 7th under the Payment of Wages Act. Next decision is the decision of the Aurangabad bench of Bombay High Court, which was circulated today, because it is dated 30th April, yesterday. Very significantly, it has challenged the order of the Home Affairs dated 29/3. It says the workman should be paid wages without deduction. There is a controversy whether it applies to migrant workman or regular workman. Now, if you have not read that order, only one portion I will read. The Supreme Court has, the division bench has said, the single judge has observed, is very critical. In all these identical petitions, the petitioners have challenged the notification issued by the Government of India, Minister of Home Affairs dated 29/3 under Disaster Management Act, have been invoked is relevant to ensure that the workers, including migrant workers, would be paid monthly wages. And they have also taken note of the offer of the employer saying we will pay 50% of the gross wages or minimum wages prescribed under the respective notifications. No, they have not said no interim relief is granted. They are not giving interim relief because Supreme Court has not granted any interim relief in identical prayers. Very critically, we should take note of this. This order also refers to judgment of the Kerala High Court dated 23/4/2020 is very important, where the Kerala government passed an administrative order saying that the government employees will lose 6 days wages every month for next 5 months, which really means after end of 5 months, 1 month wages will be lost, which may they reimburse or do something. It's a different matter. For the time being, the administrative order is that. I read the Kerala High Court with great interest. Remember, it is a government order. We are not having any such orders with us for management, because anything should be done in accordance with law. You must remember Article 300A says right to salary is a property. So you cannot deny property without due process. I'll show you section Article 300A, which is very crucial. I'll read it. Persons not to be deprived of property save by authority of law. No person shall be deprived of the property save by the authority of law. This is 300A. Property includes salary. Now, Kerala High Court says even government has no power to refuse to pay salary of the workman because it is his property. There must be a legal authority to deny wages. Yeah, wages is the personal right of the workman, employee, and therefore you cannot deny it. Therefore, they said Kerala order administrator is liable to the state, and they have stated. The Chief Minister had to take a stand whether to challenge it by an appeal or not. Now, the Aurangabad bench of Bombay High Court has taken note of this Kerala order and said, therefore, all the employers should be paid gross salary except conveyance allowance and food allowance. Because which normally in Maharashtra, these two allowances are paid on the ground. Only the workman reports for work is entitled for these two allowances. Therefore, they have indicated if they don't report for work and they don't pay it. So they said you should pay it. Now, what does it indicate? Supreme Court has declined to give interim stay. Bombay bench has declined to give interim stay in spite of offer by the government to pay 50% wages. And Kerala High Court has stayed the order of the Kerala government, which passed an administrator order withholding 6 days wages every 6 days wages every month for a period of next 5 months. This is what I said in the beginning is a trend. It may continue to end in that manner or it may change its course. We do not know. But the initial trend is not in favor of the amendment. If we have made out a prima facie case, definitely the courts would have granted interim stay. No, they have not granted interim stay. How it will end, we are not very sure. Because we are not, we cannot predict what will happen in Supreme Court at least. But under Article 142 of Constitution of India, the Supreme Court can pass any orders to render complete justice. In the sense, justice means not for workmen alone, for management also. So we should win over the strategy or a battle to render justice for management also, because this is the situation. Now, we should remember one more jurisprudence in labor law, which is well settled and accepted, that whenever there is a conflict between the workman and management in interpretation of law or interpretation of a guideline or an order or a provision, always treat in favor of the workman. So these are the issues which are loaded against the management in a legal battle. So the legal battle is uncertain, and as a lawyer who has practiced this branch for 40 years, I will definitely tell the employers, don't await for any decision from any of the courts. You should wrap up the issue in your own way. Probably when you make this payment, you make a reservation. This is my suggestion. This payment is made subject to finality of any order of the government or any order of the court which is applicable to our industry. That is the best way of looking at it. Now, the next issue, finally, what I want to touch upon is resolving the conflict between the workman and management and to maintain industrial peace during the issues concerning the lockout and post-lockout. I'm saying only legally, I'm not saying anything else. There is no question of, in law, reducing the wages. I already said cutting the wages is impermissible in law today because of the payment of wages and restrictions. Therefore, unilateral reduction in wages is also out of question. Freezing the wages out of question. You can do nothing contrary to the existing appointment order, terms and conditions, or settlements which you have entered into with your workman or union for the next 1 or 2 years or whatever it is. What I am looking at is legally which is permissible. No, but before that, some suggestions are being made, some pleas are made. The government should come forward to help the industry. I am sure that this will not happen for 2 reasons. The government is overwhelmed by the present situation. Definitely, they don't have money even to run the government. Kerala was so desperate that they didn't have money, that's why they wanted to reduce the wages, even that is not taking place. Now, in our state also, as you know, the TASMAC, which is the major source of revenue to the government, is shut down. The revenue making departments, like registration, is not taking place. 300 crores loss. And registration of vehicles, nothing is going on. There is no sale of good or service. Therefore, to the extent indirect tax is also not there. So, only source of revenue to the government is the direct tax, which he has to get it from the central government. All other taxes, GST, is subject to the revenue to be generated and central government going to. Therefore, unlike Western countries, where many countries have come forward to give money to the company, ranging between 70 to 80% at a cap of 50%, 60%, which you all would have known through WhatsApp group. That situation may not take here. We should take care of ourselves, is my humble opinion. Now, legally, I will answer what can be done. Is now probably next few days you have to answer, or you will be grappled with this issue. All HR personnels, IR personnels should immediately make a proactive attempt. Call the union leaders. Don't say they will not accept, it is not possible, etc. This is where your expertise is needed to the industry. You should hold a negotiation, discussion with the union leaders, even when the settlement is in force. How best we can salvage the situation? Because everyone knows capital cannot survive without labor, and equally labor cannot survive without capital. So if capital is lost, labor will be in the streets. That is the simple logic. And capital cannot run without labor. So we should jointly do a strategic settlement by which, as soon as the lockout is lifted, how to arrange our affairs. It can be one, no increment henceforth, the settlement is postponed, then various austere measures to be followed, where the permission given or going early, coming late is rejected, given up. Food in the canteen is drastically reduced to bare necessity instead of so many items. And puja, holidays, functions, all those things can be reduced. And number two, very important, this is a challenge for you. Now let's assume this is a situation where we are liable to pay wages. That seems to be an overwhelming position now. Is it possible for all of you to ensure that the workmen make up the lost man days due to lockdown? That is, if 50 days are lost, working days, giving up the weekly off or in between national festival day, etc. Let's say 40 days is the days lost. You tell the how to ensure that these 40 days will be reworked by the workman without any additional wages. Because we have paid the wages or we going to pay the wages. How they are going to do it? A 5-day company can work for 6 days, subject to the provisions of the Factories Act. A 6-day company can work for 6.5 days, subject to Factories Act. Or every day an additional hour. If you're working for 45 hours a week, go up to 48 hours. So some sort of working hours should be recouped, and wherever possible, you should move the inspector of factories, seek exemption, etc. This can be done by a settlement, and the clause in the settlement should also say, the workmen do not carry out the work for that particular hour or day in that month. We are not, be careful, we are not deducting wages. We say you will not earn his wages. So there is no question of deduction. So another issue like bonus, where 8.33, nothing more than that. Any other wasteful expenditure, you can reduce it. And on quality side, cost cutting, less rejections, etc., etc. All of you know. So in this scenario, with respect to the 4 issues, I conclude by saying, prima facie, Disaster Management Act and Epidemic Act seems to be overwhelmingly mandatory in nature. And in view of Section 72 of the Disaster Management Act, the provisions of the ID Act may have to subsist. The provisions of the Industrial Disputes Act should normally give way to special enact, these two enactments. And this Industrial Disputes Act, Standing Orders Act, Payment Wages Act, we have missed the bus, we have not invoked any of those provisions, layoff, etc. Therefore, there is no question of laying off hereafter. Of course, post layoff, some of my questions to our consumer like that. Post layoff, can I take reduced workman because of social distancing? But even now, the government order is you should run with only 50% workman. Yes, post layoff, once the Disaster Management and Epidemic Provisions Act go away, giving you liberty to run to the earlier regime, definitely you can invoke the provisions of the Industrial Disputes Act. Layoff is subject to the standing orders, and recruiting workmen slowly, direct workmen, indirect workmen, contract labor, trainees, they will come one by one at stages. In my experience, or what I read, what I observe, I'm very much concerned that at least it may take another 1 year for the industry to be somewhat on back of its feet. Depending upon the nature of industry, for automobile, definitely in all the time. Probably commercial making goods much earlier, consumable goods much later, etc. It has to come in stages. So, Disaster Management Act will prevail, and you may be liable to pay wages for this period. The question of law is to be decided by the Supreme Court, about which you have to keep your fingers crossed. The conflict between the workman and management is so obvious and so divided. And post lockdown, we must definitely explore to bring industrial peace by way of a settlement MOU. I am very much concerned if it does not take place, there will be rate of industrial unrest in our state or in our country as a large. And there will be a large number of industrial disputes and litigations. This must be avoided at any cost, because unless there is a peaceful atmosphere, we cannot recoup quickly, at least in 1 year. If the industrial unrest is there, it will take longer period. And with the hope of the negative feeling towards the Chinese government, the government is, state and central government is facilitating for the Indian industry to grab that opportunity. It's for the Indian industry and the working class to rise to the occasion and stand united and get over this unprecedented crisis. Anything is possible to get over is my view. Thank you so much. I have answered most of all the questions. The questions are two or three types basically. One saying whether I should pay wages at all during the period of lockout. I said yes. The two is whether contract labor should be paid. I said yes. The three is trainees. I said no. The four is deduction in wages, 50%, compulsory leave, etc. I said no. Post lockdown, I said subject to the provisions of the IDA. These are the four broader issues which have come to my knowledge by of questions which I have answered. So, any other questions from the enlightened members of this association? To the best of my ability, I am ready to answer. Any comments anyone want to make? Yes. Okay, go ahead. But I must say, post lockdown, how you will arrange your affairs is for you to discuss and decide. Thank you so much.
Sir, we will go with the presentation. I mean, like, no participant already they have raised few queries earlier while doing the registration. We will run through all those 30 questions so that other people will have some clarity.
Yeah.
So hope everyone can able to view my screen.
No, Mr. Vinod, it is yet to come. So for me, it is not
No,
visible.
it is available.
Mr. Vinod, you can read out the questions, I believe so, because I couldn't able to see. I don't know for whether the rest of the people can able to view it.
I'll read it. What is the legal action if omission to adhere to Disaster Management Act? I said penal action in terms of section 51 of the Act. Then salary pay during lockdown, yes, lost on wages. How to treat the lockdown period for EL, gratuity, bonus, etc. Treat as if the workers are reported for in earned wages. The payment of wages and salaries without working can be adjusted by working in future. I said no. It can be always subject to any settlement. These are the 4 questions. Then 5, my company has started resuming operations and only few people are coming. I said if you cannot transport the workmen who are far away, then you are liable to pay wages for them because they don't report for work. But if the employees do not report for work in spite of being nearby, they are not entitled wages, but they should be put on notice only before they are losing wages. Then how to treat layoff off-roll workers? Suppose contract who do not turn up. I said whoever is not turning up is not entitled for wages. Then next question is whether deduction is permissible. I said no. Then 8 is payment of wages are eligible during the in terms of the order of the MHA. I said yes. Then HR approach towards labor issues during lockdown, I have not answered. Then what are the implications of non-payment of wages, which I already said, penal provision in the section 51 of the Act, and also under the Payment of Wages Act, you are liable to pay the full salary and also fine up to 10 times. Then the 11th question is yes, I said contract laborers are also entitled for wages. And 12 is legal consequence if the member do not pay. I said again penal provision. Payment of wages to contract labor said yes, I am payable. Salary payment during lockdown, if employee after lockdown gets COVID, I said no, he is not entitled for any wages. He can go on sick leave, subject to its available. Because after reporting for work, he got COVID. Yes. Then 14 questions. 15 is again whether we can pay full salary and recover it later on. I said no. Can we say pay cut salary or discontinue the salary? No. Layoff retrenchment can be announced. I said no. Subject to the ID Act. Wages regarding lockdown period. I said it should be lost on wages. Because some have asked whether we can pay wages free. Then how to engage lower percentage of employees in this situation? I have not answered it. Because it all depends on your requirement. In case of relaxation of certain persons are allowed to work in a factory, those who do not allowed to should be given salary. I said layoff can be declared subject to the provisions of the ID Act after lockdown is lifted based on the standing orders available to you. Then I said 3-year settlement. I said no, you cannot change it now. However, you should attempt to enter into a fresh settlement replacing the earlier settlement. That is permissible in law. 22 is lockdown, though it is getting paid. Can this period be excluded for probationary period? I said no. Extension can be given subject to the appointment order or under the standing orders. It is not a negotiable instrument that you can push off a date. Then for COVID-19 employees compulsory to give pay wages to contract labor, I said yes. Then what is the penalties again, as I repeated earlier, under the provisions of the Disaster Management Act and Payment of Wages Act. Next. 25 is it required additional wages for who report for work? An employee, including the workman, will summon surrender 50% of the leave lockdown? No. till the end of lockdown, unknown date, employee need to pay his full salary. I said yes. Can we adjust bonus? I said no, bonus cannot be adjusted. 28 question. How companies will have to plan to work after the lockdown? I have not answered. Is retrenchment possible for management staff? I said yes. Subject after lockdown, it's subject to the IDA. Can increase the minimum wages DA as per the GO, or we can delay it? No, DA has to be paid in accordance with the resolution. Salary payable for April 220? Yes, I have. These are the 30 questions. So basically it says whether there can be deduction for direct workman, can be denied, etc.
Sir, this is Manikandan. So I have a question.
Yes.
So all this payment of wages, whatever we have discussed, so is this applicable in terms of workers, isn't it so? So the people who are excluding in the tag of worker or who are not eligible to put into ID, so which means the management has a full privilege to decide itself?
See, I'll tell you, the payment wages applies to persons employed receiving salary up to 24,000 rupees per month.
Okay.
Even workmen who receive salary more than that, they can still go to the labor court and claim the relief.
Yes. Okay.
So the third category, who are managers and supervisors. There is nothing like white collar. White collar also workmen under the labor law.
Yeah.
Managers and supervisors, it cannot be decided on a mere designation, whether they are really invoking managerial powers and they are supervisory functions. If they are to be dealt with, they will not have the protection of Industrial Disputes Act or Payment Wages Act. But the big question is, they can invoke the common law principle of law. That is, a wage cannot be reduced or denied at par without their consent or knowledge. That will be contrary to the contract already entered into. But what is the remedy? They can only go to the civil court, file a suit for money recovery, and get it. That will be time consuming and it will be difficult. That's all the problem for those employees concerned. But they are also entitled to relief, but not a quick relief under labor legislation.
Fine, sir. And sir,
Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Can I talk?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So this is Kavita. Sir, already I've raised this question that we are already started resume the operation, and we made a few people to come for the operation, but few people are not able to come. What you said, if there is no transport, you can't make them to stop the wages, right?
Yes. For example, is today you cannot move out. Therefore, we cannot be blamed for not reporting for work, in spite of you opening the factory. But if you provide transport,
Okay, sir. But
come.
yes. No, I can understand this situation, but one thing I just want to clarify: how can I make the people who are coming regularly, even this very problematic situation? So, how can I make the difference between those people and the people who are working right now?
Working are people are not gaining wages. It's a controversy. But the simple point is, people are unable to report for work. In the present situation, they are getting for wages. There is no discrimination in this. But if they are nearer your factory and still refuse to come, and if you provide transportation with the social distancing, still they don't report for work, then after due notice, you can say you will not earn your wages. Yes.
Sir, one more question from my end. So,
Yeah.
as it is exempted for the essential service now, so since the management knows that the employee is giving a habitual absence, yes, the company has given the provision, but the employee has not turned out to offers. So, how can we deal this? Can we deduct the wages for them since the industry is into the essential service?
It is an essential service, and the workman is required to report for work. and in spite of his ability to report for work, he does not turn up. Yes, then it can be treated as an absentee and he will not earn his wages. Merely because his past record is absentee does not mean this period he should be continued to be an absent employee and he can be denied wages. That will be very harsh.
Fine, sir. Thanks a lot. Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Yeah, this is Pawan.
Yes, sir.
I just want to know actually what happened. We entered into a yearly contract with the contractor, but now our contract with the contractor has already expired on 31st March. Are we liable? Yeah. Now, are we liable to pay wages to our contractual labor?
No, from 1st of April, if you have not extended the contract, or you actually terminated the contract, you are not liable to pay wages for this contract workman because contract itself is not subsisting.
Okay.
Yes. Can I take it? The questions are over.
Sir, this is Manikandan again. So, as the question raised by Mr. Pavan, so as you have told that this contract is over by March, end of March, since this lockdown 144 has been announced in the in between the March, no. So it is not legally it is not possible for both either for contractor or for an employer to renew it. So in these circumstances, how can we deal this, sir? So,
don't follow your question. Say again. The contract has come to an end on 31st March. That's what he said.
Yes, sir.
You have not terminated the contract after 31st of March, nor you have extended it.
Okay.
Am I right?
Yes.
So from 1st of April, there is no contract existing in the eye of law.
Yes.
Yes, then you are not liable to pay wages for the contractor or his workman.
Okay.
Oh, sir, again the same. If that is so, for many of the companies, they may have the practice of giving a purchase order every year from April to March for the same contractor. So year by year, they may revise or based on the budget which have been offered to the employee or to the contractor, they may revise or they may go for some other contractors. So in that purview, how can we decide it, sir? If that is so, then the entire contractor, for me, if I'm having 10 contractors who is having that license is going agreement is going to expire in the March means then I'm not supposed to pay for everyone now. So that overwhelm or that that totally is against the law which was given now. No.
See, I am very clear. Contract workmen are entitled for wages. There is no doubt about it. And if the contractor does not pay, principal employer is responsible under Section 21 of the Contract Labour Regulation Abolition Act. This is correct when there is an existing contract between the principal employer and the contractor. I am only saying if there is no contract subsisting in the eye of law after a particular date, then there is no agreement between you and the contractor at all for supply of contract labor. That in that context, I said you are not liable to pay wages to the contractor on behalf of the contract workman. But if it is subsisting or in between period is there, then definitely you are liable to pay wages.
Fine, sir. Thanks, sir.
Sir, there is one more question from Mr. Kiran. He has raised that can the employees falling under the essential services can ask employees to apply CLPL during the lockdown to get the wages?
No, I said emphatically no. Leave is his wish. You can apply whenever he wants. All those questions can be resolved by offer settlement.
Okay. And one more question from the other participant. When you mentioned that trainees are not entitled to get the wages, but a recent Apprentice Act, there is a notification says that even lockdown period trainees are entitled to pay their stipend amount. So how can take it forward for these trainees?
You pass on that notification, let me see. Because are not employees at all. Under the rules, under the Practice Act definition, it does not come within the definition of worker. That's why I am clear. Apprentice under the Apprentice Act. Our trainees are apprentice under Standing Orders Act. And named trainees are concerned, they are not workmen. Therefore, they are not entitled for wages, is my view. If you can pass on that Apprentice Act and notice, I will have a look at it.
Sure, sir.
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Sir, under NAPS, it has been mentioned that as we take as an apprentice or a trainee, the wages has to be paid. There is an order that's been passed out recently, sir.
You pass it on to me. I am not aware of it. I will look into it.
Fine, sir. So that's that has been said during this COVID period of. Yes, that's what your other things.
I will look into it. I am not aware of it. To be very frank.
Obviously. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Sure. Thank you.
Sir, and one more question from my end. So, as you mentioned that manager or supervisor cadre, whoever is kind of like, above 50,000 or even be the 1 lakh salary people who are getting the wages as a deduction in the part of special allowance part. Whereas the employer is giving the definition that since lockdown, you're in lockdown period, there is no conveyance or that is the reason we are doing the deduction. It is a lawful, sir.
See, whatever terminology we may use, all our emoluments paid or payable during employment, not by working. Only why the Aurangabad bench said don't pay food allowance and conveyance allowance. In that state, the norm is only when you report you are entitled for it. It is not part of earned leave, you will get it automatically. For example, I put it differently. For example, attendance bonus. Unless he reports over, he will not earn it. No, we are not liable to pay attendance bonus part of this salary. Similarly, production bonus, which is based on a target. There is no production, therefore he is not entitled. Therefore, which is payable by of a contingency or performance. And if it is performance-related work, then that part of the wage component you are not liable to pay. Otherwise, whatever name you call, conveyance allowance, we are paying irrespective of his reporting of work or not in part of the earned salary. So it's all allowances. We give different nomenclature. For example, special allowance, there is nothing special about it. It's only called as special allowance. So payments which are contingent payment alone, you can refuse to pay for the lockdown period.
Okay, sir.
Sir, one person has raised. If a person who has resigned a couple of months back and he is in his notice period. Hello.
Yes, tell me.
Person has resigned in the month of February. He is supposed to serve for 3 months based on the agreement. Do this person is liable for pay, sir?
Yes. During lockdown period, he is entitled to wages.
Okay, fine. Or can this?
Or with other workmen.
Can this period also be considered as a notice period, or we can ask them to, since it is a lockdown period, can we ask the employee to put up this notice period for another 2 months, or not including these 2 months?
No. Notice period is lapsed after the period is over. That is unable to perform work is an act of God or class major.
Fine, sir. Fine.
It said during probation, you not work, therefore we can extend it. No. Similarly, the same logic refusal applies to notice period also.
Fine, sir.
Okay, thank you.
So, sir, thanks a lot, sir. On behalf of the entire crew, we thank you very much for your timely support for this HR fraternity. So, we people are really knowing that how much difficult to get your appointment in your busy schedule. Special thanks to Mr. Armugam, sir, who has supported in a very wonderful manner, who has coordinated everything. So, thanks a lot for him. as well as for you, sir, on behalf of this forum. This forum started just few months back. So thanks a lot for that insightful information which you have given to the HR fraternity, sir. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you.
Vinod, you want to say anything else?
Again, we would like to thank sir for giving us such a wonderful session, and it is very good insight for all the HR fraternity, not only with the HR fraternity, and again with like business people also. So wonderful clarity we got in this lockdown period, and this leave day also, I can see a lot of response and lot of people who have participated. So I thank everyone for this, making this session as a successful.
Okay. So participants, for any queries you have, you just kindly ping your queries over the mail. So we will be in touch with you. So we get clarity from Ravindran sir in terms of your queries, and we will share it to you as early as possible. So thanks a lot for it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to all.
Mani, 2 more
Yes, sir.
weeks extended.
Partha, sir, I have seen it, sir. Mobile or
Thank you.
mobile, sir. Thanks for everyone. Thanks a lot. So you can keep sharing your queries. We will get in touch with you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I just want to thank on behalf of AIM, I just want to thank Vinod who has taken a very good initiative for this program. Thank you so much, Vinod.
Thanks, madam.
Thank
Without
you.
your support and Manikandan, this would have
So
not been happened. So, and one more thing, Mr. Arugan sir, he has done a very wonderful coordination with the speaker. Thanks, sir.
So people started moving out. So many have left out. But anyway, thanks to Mr. Vinodena, he has put up his tremendous support from yesterday evening. So thanks a lot. So
Very
thanks
short,
for everyone.
very short period arrangements, sir.
Thanks,
You
sir.
have to appreciate, Vinod.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
sir.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Take care. Have a good day.